been a long time, I know, and I'm sorry for that. I honestly don't know how to start this video. I have had quite a long time off from making videos here on YouTube, and honestly, I miss it. I miss the connections that I had built, miss the support that I get from you guys, and I miss being... Ooh, sorry. It's been a hard year. Also, it's been like the best year. It's been like the best year for sure. It's just been really hard, and I've gone through a lot, and lots of ups and lots of downs, and, you know, really awesome times and really hard times as well. I don't think I've handled it the best. I don't know if I'm handling it the best, honestly. I'm just trying to get through every day right now, and like... Sorry. Oh, let me think. Okay, well, the last little short that I uploaded was talking about me being in love. And I was, definitely, and you know, that was such an amazing time in my life. I'm so thankful for that experience, and it's not currently an experience that's in my life. I'm not in love any longer. Was heartbroken for a while, and you know, this year was kind of on and off of love, you know. Was let's see, today is October, the beginning of October, okay. So in like the beginning of February, right before Valentine's. Okay, let me start over. So sorry, you guys. 2025. I fell in love in 2025, and it was toxic, and it was in ways very romantic. In ways it was very fulfilling, and in certain ways it was very lonely and unfulfilling. You know, I've never had a lot of like great love experiences in my life as far as like partnership goes. You know, I have tons of love around me, lots of friends and family and all of that, and I'm so thankful for that. But as far as like having a romantic partner, like, it has just not been the easiest thing for me in my life. And I was thinking about that today on the way home. I went for a little cruise on the way home and drove into the city and watched the sunset. It was really pretty, and I was just thinking, like, why do I love the way that I love? You know, it's almost reckless. It's almost like I've attracted things that are just unhealthy for me, and you know, the healthy ones don't excite me, unfortunately. I think that I like the madness of an unhealthy love, you know. I guess it's just something I've gotten used to, and to me it feels like love, where really it's probably just really an unhealthy situation in general. That being said, I really enjoyed feeling loved and feeling that I, you know, was able to share my love with someone. I'm such a lover, and I think like it was just really cool to have that experience. I'm really thankful for that. But yes, I met a man in February, and we dated on and off up until about a month ago, maybe 2 months. I quit counting, honestly. Probably a month and a half ago. And this man, let's refer to him as LB. You know, I am thankful for him. He taught me a lot about myself and about the things that I want and the things that I deserve and the things that I still need to work on, you know, because I don't think that being in a relationship with me is easy. You know, I'm a little high maintenance. I have high expectations. I think I deserve to have those things. I think I deserve to have high expectations. I think I don't like to put up with BS. I will call it out and move on when necessary. However, moving on was the hard part because me and LB, we split up 3 times in 9 months and got back together. So it would have been like the 4th time, I believe. And each time it was like everything was great. Everything was amazing. And then all of a sudden it would be like nothing, you know. So we would go from being happy together, spending every day together, to like him dropping off and not responding to me for a few days or even longer. And you know, then I would get psycho and I would be like, what is going on? Like, technically have like a girlfriend, you know, and now you're just blowing me off as if I don't exist. And I don't do well with rejection, or, you know, I have abandonment issues. So it just triggered me, and it was really hard to deal with. But by the fourth time, honestly, it got easier. You know, he wasn't surprising me with the abandonment anymore. It was just a part of our cycle. And that was a good thing to realize, you know. It's like it was easier to let go of him the last time, because I was like, this is what we have. You know, what we have is something that is temporary. It doesn't last. It, you know, is hot and cold. It's, you know, he was breadcrumbing me and kind of trying to keep me around by just giving me tiny little bits of attention. And then once he had me hooked, then he would just do whatever he wanted or needed to do, and he would kind of throw me by the wayside. And that was just a really hard thing to deal with. But I believe that it made me stronger. And I believe that, you know, at this point, you know, all I wanted was to hear from him. Yeah, all I wanted was to hear from him time and time again, right? And it's really gotten to a place now, like, I'm not even mad at him. He's obviously going through a lot of his own issues, as am I, and at this point there's nothing that I want him to say. You know, I wanted to hear from him for so long, and at this point we would have nothing to say to each other, so what's the point, you know? So it is nice that I've gotten to that place where I can let that go, and I've grown a lot from this experience and changed, you know. Let me think, how in depth do I want to go here? This has been hard because I'm dealing with guilt and shame with the way that I have handled the rejection this year, and the way that I have handled the roller coaster of emotions. Something I've touched on before, but I've never really gotten into too deep, is addiction. You know, I am an addict. I have had really bad addiction issues, drug issues, and it really stems from loneliness, and it always has. You know, started using at like 16, 17 years old, and I was just trying to escape, and that went on for 14 years till I was 30. It progressively got worse and worse. Went to rehab when I was 30. And in rehab is where I transitioned. I am now 35, and so it's been a few years, but these last few years have not been easy. You know, I have had slip-ups, I've had moments of just self-pity and self-doubt, and, you know, I can be really hard on myself, and when I do that, it's really easy to find comfort in escaping something that I know, which is drugs, you know, and that's unfortunate. This is hard to talk about. But I think it's important, you know. It's been really hard to make a video this year because I've been struggling again, you know, and I'm not quite struggling with all the things that I used to struggle with before as far as the substances go. You know, I have let some of the really bad ones go, thank God, because those ones almost killed me. But now I'm finding that, you know, when I'm lonely and when I'm sad, I want to go out and, you know, meet people and get attention and go to bars and drink and, you know, even maybe partake in a few things that I should not partake in, and it's just to feel accepted and loved and not so lonely. And sorry, I didn't think I would be this emotional, to be honest. Excuse me while I chest bump you. The thing is, I love myself. I really do, and I think that it also makes it hard to feel rejection when I've come to this place where I haven't always loved myself to the extent that I do now, and I feel really lucky about that. But it doesn't mean that it's easy, and it doesn't mean that my life is perfect by any means. It's still really hard and still very lonely. So yeah, sometimes I'll still go out. Sometimes I still rage. I can stay up for a day or two, you know, till the sun comes up, and that's just a horrible feeling, and you know, it doesn't make me just feel good about myself, you know. It's been really hard lately, and the hard thing is, I think, the loneliness, it creeps in, and when I was really bad into drugs, okay, I was a really bad amphetamine user, okay? And back in the day, it's been a long time since I went down that road, but I used to feel like there was another person inside of me that would take over, when I was feeling manic and when I was feeling impulsive. And like I would leave to go get a pack of cigarettes and I would just be gone for 2 weeks, and I would be on a bender and wasn't working and didn't really have a lot of people around me. I wasn't surrounding myself with the people who were there for me. I was more isolating and choosing to do things that were unhealthy, but it would numb the pain, and I find that the demon is still there, the other thing that takes over and takes me into the dark place. It's still there. It's not as strong as it used to be, but it's still there. Sorry, this piece of hair is just killing me, but it's still there, and it's still something that I'm working on, and I'm definitely a work in progress. But really how this came up was meeting LB. He is a very loving person. He was a very great person. I think our situation was complicated and it wasn't easy, but definitely the substances poured back in for both of us, and we enabled each other, and we had long nights and unhealthy habits, and it was honestly it was fun in that time it was fun. This sounds so toxic, and it is, but it felt a little romantic. I've never claimed to be perfect, and I have a lot of issues that I deal with and will continue to deal with, and I think same with LB. He had a lot of those same issues, and we were there for each other, in those times. I don't think either of us were proud of those times, but at least we had each other, and I think that was nice. But what I'm trying to say is that when him and I were spending time together, it really pulled that lifestyle back into my life. And then when we wouldn't be talking, I would spiral, and I would go down a deep dark hole, just rebelling, going out, sleeping with people, doing drugs, feeling sorry for myself, feeling mad at him, just feeling like it wasn't fair, and I know I shouldn't think victim-y of well, you brought this back into my life and now you're just gonna leave me, and here I am just going through it and continuing on with these issues. So when he wasn't around, it was I was still there with the addiction issues, and they were fresh at that point, and they were scratching at me, and they were hey girl, we're still here for you. You're not alone because you have us. Yeah, it's been a rough year. Talking about this, saying it out loud is hard, and this is really the reason I haven't made videos. I've just really been going through it, and I'm scared to post this, honestly, because I don't know who is gonna see it. Whether it's people who know me or people who think a certain way of me, and I'm worried to lose support, or I don't want people to be so worried about me that, I am in control of my life, mostly, because there are times when I'm holy shit, what the hell happened last night? How did I get here? And why am I doing this, and I think it really comes down to being lonely and feeling sad and I guess sorry for myself, which that does not feel good. I don't want to feel sorry for myself, and I really don't want people to feel sorry for me. I think I am a strong, independent woman, right? But I have a lot of issues, and they're really hard to talk about because I am a perfectionist, and I like people to see me and think of me in a very particular way. But the reality is that I'm a hot mess and really struggle on a daily basis, honestly. And sometimes really just to get out of bed and get ready for work and show up on time. And, I was going late to work, sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes calling out just because I couldn't really do it, you know. I have fixed the work problem, so that's good. I'm not on thin ice right now, I don't think, hopefully. But I guess what I want people to know is the connections that I have in my life with people that are close to me, that know me, and the connections that I have here, although it's been a while. Sometimes I definitely know that they save my life sometimes, you know, and I really appreciate you guys, and I really am so thankful to have built this little platform. And I know that I haven't, you know, really been there for you guys as much, and I'm sorry for that. Everything's a wreck. You can't see my room right now because it's a wreck. It's been a wreck for so long, too long. Like, I'm living kind of in shambles, and I kind of feel like, you know, I can pull myself together to leave the house and to look okay and, you know, to be perceived a certain way, but the reality is, like, I'm just a bit of a mess. So I just want to thank you guys, honestly, for being there for me. And this is like a roundabout story, I guess. It's not even really a story. It's just it's a diary entry. And I think that I really need that. I think that I need to hold myself accountable and be honest about the things that I struggle with. And, you know, for people to see that, you know, my life is not perfect. And yes, I do post a very certain side of me that I want people to see, and this side of me is not my best side that I'm talking about. But I think me being open and honest about it is one of my best qualities, and I haven't been open and honest about it. So here we are now. Yeah, that is rough. I would love to get back into making videos more consistently, going live, and building connections with you guys. I'm not going to make that promise right now because it's a day-to-day basis. The fact that I'm sitting here right now and making this video is honestly a surprise. I did not plan on doing this tonight. I mean, I've already ripped off my lashes, my hair is crazy today, like, I'm still in work clothes, but I figured there's no time like now, right? Because we never know how much time we have. Now, in saying that, I'm not wanting anyone to be worried about me. I'm not necessarily worried about myself. I am, I guess, sad for myself and just the direction that is still lingering. You know, I'm so happy to have transitioned. I'm so happy to be proud of myself in those ways. I'm so happy to feel beautiful and to take care of myself in the ways that I do, right? Because that is something I worked really, really hard on, and I'm not willing to give that up. I will always fight for that. But there is a flip side to the coin. And the flip side is that although I'm so proud of myself and so happy in so many ways, I am, you know, sometimes I just sit back and think, like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me to be so reckless and to hurt myself and put myself in these positions and these situations where I'm looking for something outside of myself? I wish that I could just reach in and be like, that's what I need right there, you know, like, I found it, I'm good, but I'm still searching, I'm still trying to figure that out, and I think that's okay. I think that, you know, at a young, gorgeous 35 years old, I still have plenty time to figure it out, and I do believe that I am a lot wiser than I ever was before. It doesn't mean that I don't still make bad decisions, although knowing that they are bad decisions, like, I know what I'm doing, right? Doesn't always mean that it's gonna stop me, and sometimes it does, but a lot of times it doesn't. You know, a lot of times I'm willing to make a bad decision to forget, and I know that's not healthy. I think that it's really good to be honest with yourself and to talk about your problems with the people around you and or in a space like this, because, like I said, this is kind of like my little diary, and I've needed to make a new entry for a long time. I wish that this had a happy ending. The happy ending is that, truthfully, although I've been going through it in many ways, I genuinely still feel pretty good. You know, like, I I remember hating myself at one point. I remember just not even recognizing who I was and just being so outside of reality, you know. And like now I think, you know, I'm pretty self-aware, I'm pretty smart girl, but I'm a reckless girl. Isn't that crazy? It's so crazy. Why am I this way? Why am I this way? Anyways, you guys, I'm so sorry. This was the worst rambling video I have ever made, but I needed to get it out. I needed to get it out, and I needed you guys to understand that, yeah, this year has been full of love and rejection and addiction and struggle, and I'm getting better at self-compassion. I really am, because, you know, the fact of the matter is, like, I F up sometimes, and it doesn't kill me. You know, it used to just make me feel horrible when I would do things like that. And yeah, I'm embarrassed, and I don't feel great about it, but it's not gonna kill me. I'm learning lessons. I'm gonna keep on going. They cannot hold me down. I'm gonna keep thriving. At one point, I feel like I was just trying to survive, and now I'm trying to actively thrive. So wish me luck. Thank you for just listening. It means the world to me. And I'm gonna let you guys go now, okay? I will try to muster up the ability to make more videos and to go live. I have not forgotten about you. I think about making videos all the time, and I just don't know what to say, and that's why this video is the way that it is, because I'm just spitting it all out, you know. There was no formula to any of this. I just wanted to sit down and hit record and see what came out, and holy cow, that was hard to talk about. Thank you for loving me, and I love you as well. Like and subscribe. Thank you. Hopefully my next video will just be a little bit happier. Okay, you guys. Take care.